Hello, everybody. That was just especially there to creep Drewe out.
It creeps me out as well.
Mm.
And yet he won't play. He won't play Camembert Electrique as an intro.
No, I won't. No. But that's Victor Hewley Hutchinson's take on the first Noel, which was immortalised in 1984 by the BBC television production The Box of Delights, which is coming up for 40 years now. Goodness me. Anyway, here we are.
I still haven't seen it.
No, I haven't.
You should have, Spence, because I did send Liz a copy of the DVD. So, anyway.
Anyway, before we get started, okay, onto stuff. I need to get this off my chest because,
Go on, then.
frankly, this might be within our world. Okay, there have been over the last 3 or 4 weeks, there's been an awful lot of like backwards and forwards, to and fro in about certain things, haven't there? We've all read them, we've all got involved in them, everybody's had conversations about them, and frankly, we're all really bored with the idea of some of the conversations that have been had on some of the pages that we frequent. Okay.
Yeah.
However, today, enough is enough, really, because Bear with. Today, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I'm
right.
What is it with people not wanting to mix bean juice and eggs?
Oh, honestly,
seriously, what has the world come to that is even a thing?
These are the same people, Spencer, who, as adults, argue over whether jam or cream goes first on a scone.
Well, I get that.
It doesn't matter.
Obviously, jam goes on first, but yeah,
difference. Yeah. Seriously, I genuinely think that the world is going to hell in a handcart if that is even a thing. So, if you think that bean juice cannot mix with yolky eggs in a breakfast, then I don't even know where to go with that, to be honest.
See, straight in. Somebody's already said jam first. It
jam
matters.
First.
Like it matters.
It's not a thing.
It does. I've got to say,
jam first, and then you put the cream on, then you turn it upside down, and guess what?
I've got to say that as the token vegetarian and all this, the idea that as a vegetarian I can't eat eggs aren't animals.
And I'm sorry, in this period of of goodwill to all men and all of that sort of stuff, and obviously
there's limits.
Food is going to rear its lovely head over the next couple of weeks. A pie is not a pie if it's not got 360 degrees of pastry wrapping. A pie is not a pie if it's just got a lid. That's like a meat tart that's upside down. A pie.
Although we will give, we will cut slack for pies that have potato on top. Shepherd's, cottage, fish.
Oh, we might.
They're all pies. They're all pies.
But a pastry pie.
But if it hasn't got pastry, if it involves pastry and it's not 360 pastry, it's not a pie.
It's not a pie.
That's a stew with a top on it.
It is. It's stew with a lid.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I just wanted to get it off my chest. Bean juice, eggs mixed. Yeah, mix in your mouth unless you're eating them separately, and then it mixes inside you. And a pie. Come on. Mince pies don't have just lids, do they?
Anyway, welcome to the Interesting Modelling Company. And,
right, get that off my chest. Stew with a, I like that. It's stew with a hat. Yes, it is. That's
all we've got time for tonight, folks. So we'll see you next week. And it's what people come for, this nonsense. Anyway, gentlemen, if I can use that phrase liberally, how have we all been this week? I know, Drew.
John, you can't ask me that, can you? I've had the shit.
No, I know.
Sorry, I nearly swore. I've had one of the worst weeks in recent years. So
yeah. Yeah.
The reason I'm here tonight is partly to say, yes, we can talk about it, and partly because I just need to, shoot with friends, because it was a terrible week for me. So
yeah. Well, do you want to? I will explain to people.
Well, for people, for anybody who has been here previously, when Fred, the ginger cat, has made his presence known on the show, generally by crashing out on my bench and making a nuisance of himself, I had to say goodbye to Fred on Tuesday, and it was a gut-wrenching day. Getting upset thinking about it. So, but I've had a really not great week. On the other hand, on Friday I finished work for 4 weeks, so yin yang, But it's I think you need to talk about these things, because these are the contracts we make with our companions, aren't they?
I'm just going to say, I am, here we go. This was my late younger sister's cat, Tabby. And this is going back nearly 20 years ago. And the funny, not the funny thing, but the thing was, Drewe was actually coming up to mine to go up to Telford on the Friday. And she had been ailing for a while. And I said to Drewe, we sat down in Catherine's Patisserie down the high street. And I said to him, Drewe, I can't come up with you today. I'll have to come up tomorrow. I had to say my goodbyes, and then I got the train up the next day. So I completely understand where you're coming from, Drewe. Absolutely. So yeah.
And like I say, it's the it's the contract you make when you get a companion like that you will be the one who sees them out of the world eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really, I'm genuinely, Drewe, I'm really sorry you had to go through that this week. So. But we've been there and done it. So
it's one of those. It's one of those. It was awful, and I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Yep. Exactly.
That was my job, and I did it.
Yeah,
so.
that's our jobs in life, really, with cats. Spence, do you want to tell us about your putty addiction? What do you do on Sunday night? I watched The Confused Man from Dudley and another bloke from the same area.
Yeah, so we were talking about this off. I was sort of playing with this. This is silly putty, which I guess everybody uses now, don't they? It's kind of become sort of ubiquitous within what we do. I use it a lot for masking off demarcations on camouflage and everything, but also I find it really useful for masking smaller areas. That, like, I'm building an F-35 at the moment, and I used it. I was doing some touch-up work today, so I used it to mask off the ledges of the canopy frame of the sill of the cockpit. And we were sort of talking about using this. This is like an odd color now. You can kind of see it, but it's because I've used it for so long. I think this single ball of silly putty I've been using since well before lockdown, probably the last 3 or 4 years, and it's kind of that color because it's got less paint in it from painting. But Drewe was saying that rather than using silly putty, he uses a material called therapy putty, which can be bought offline.
You can get it from. I mean, there's so many different variants available from Amazon, and it's pretty much exactly the same stuff. It's it behaves exactly the same. You can.
Snaps, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the same with this.
It snaps. You can roll it out, and you can push it right into tight corners and stuff like that. And it's also available. With different firmnesses. So this stuff here is medium. This stuff is firm, and we got some extra firm here. Because that is essentially all your AK plastic putties are and stuff like that. That's all they are. I don't really like. I put that into a ball about 10 minutes ago and put it in there. It's already almost settled in. So you've got to work really fast with that. But with these different viscosities that you get with these therapy putties, obviously because they're therapy putties for building up hand strength and stuff, so they've got different They got different viscosities, so as people get stronger, they can move around. You know, they can move through the different viscosities as they get stronger.
Did you buy that as a pack? Was it?
Yes, so this one here, the medium stuff, that was a one-off. But this pack of 5 here came. There you go, John's. There you go. It's
there we are.
So yeah, and obviously, like, oh, hello. As you can see, they're color coded.
Yeah,
for different, you know, depending on how firm you need them to be.
Yeah.
In actual fact, I bought these about 3 years ago, and I've yet to use any of them because I've been using the one-off pack of medium. So,
and it looks like there's quite a lot in each pack as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's certainly more than you get in that ball of silly putty that you've got. There's certainly a fair bit, a fair bit more.
And that one there, the medium, that looks like that's essentially the same as silly putty. That is the one that's the same.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. You know, so you can massage it out and massage it out and lay it on things to mask off, and it's sticky enough to stay on there.
Yeah, it works perfectly, doesn't it?
So I don't, if I'm going to be leaving them on there for any length of time whatsoever, I will still tend to, for camouflage and stuff, I'll still tend to use blue tack for the sausages.
Yeah,
because you can leave that; it retains its shape really well. It doesn't settle, and then I can quite often I'll use this to fill in the edges of the blue tack because it's really
that's what I was thinking, because you can use the blue tack to define the patterns, but this stuff can be laid over the top of that blue tack, and because of their different densities, they don't tend to stick together, do they? That you can one will peel away from the other.
No, this will peel straight off a blue tack without any trouble at all. But it's the ease with which you can just sort of manipulate it around.
That's
into those corners. And things like that, and then I think you've done it before, Spence, where you spray a section at a time and then move on to the next one. Because
I think people have different approaches, don't they? Some people like to mask the whole thing and then paint the whole lot, whereas I tend to work from one end to the other and do it in stages.
I've always tended to with blue tack, I'll mask the whole pattern out and then do it all in one. But there are clearly benefits to your method, which I've tried and enjoyed as well. But it's just the way it's so easy to manipulate this stuff around to where you need it to be, and
it really is. It's great
and push it into, and then when you're done, you peel it off and just mix it back into your
There has been a spending accident here.
Oh, you've already bought some.
I thought I was suffering from putty envy here. Plus, I'm fed up with the blue tack that I get from Poundland because it loses its stick after a while. So I've just ordered some of the green.
I mean, the thing with although this is like reusable, as Spence, you see with Spence's. With Spence's silly putty, he's had it for 4 years or so now and is still using it. So this is ultimately, and almost infinitely reusable. Blue tack, I tend to, it's once only for me. I peel it off the model, and because generally I'm using masking fluids and tapes and putties and all sorts to fill in, so it doesn't really survive that process very well. So I just I tend to just peel the blue tack off of the model afterwards, and that goes in the bin. So,
I mean, I've found that it's easier to use this the way that you've just shown, actually, rather than using sausages, is to kind of manipulate it so that you're able to kind of create the pattern using this and then push it around to where you need it to be. I find that I actually find it quite therapeutic, actually, using this, strangely enough, given what it's called. but I sort of find it's and also by rolling this out, because it's so flexible, I find this can often be easier to use than blue tack. You know, sometimes when you put blue tack on, it can, especially if you've got it and it goes over humped areas.
Yeah,
sometimes it doesn't drop into it, does it?
It'll lift away from the corners and stuff.
That's it. Whereas
yeah, I mean, I don't think any of them are a complete solution. They all work together.
Well, Tony Burke's just put there. I have a sneaking suspicion, Tony, this might actually be that silly putty. That's how long I've had it.
There you go. So yeah, it's all these things are just so useful.
Yeah,
you know, and I still use. To be fair, I still use this quickly if I'm filling in something really quickly. But I know. I mean, you can see how quickly it's. Even in the few minutes we've been speaking, it's
like the blob, isn't it?
It is. I did a time lapse a few years ago. Overnight, I did a time lapse of this overnight and put a YouTube video of it up, showing it kind of settling over something, and it's quite creepy.
Yeah, it is sort of strange, isn't it?
It's quite creepy, but it's also quite fun. But it was done to show how you can't mask this. You can't use this to mask anything like a camouflage and then walk away and leave it.
Yeah. What I also like about this stuff as well is that if, for sake of argument, if I've got it's over there now, but if I've got like the inside of a cockpit, for instance, like the cockpit sill or whatever, you can manipulate this with the tip of a cocktail stick, and it will manipulate to very sharp edges as well.
Yes.
And creates a perfect seal against those sharp edges. And it's much quicker and much neater to work with than using masking tape, I find. So that it's very useful for that kind of thing. And because it's so soft and actually it's not really sticky, is it? It doesn't.
No. It kind of it lays down, and there's like a very, very slight. It's not tacky. It sticks, but it's not tacky. There's a weird.
No.
It's like it's the same thing as cling film.
It's very much like that. Yeah.
I was going to say, does it work? Does it work on an electrostatic principle?
I don't think it does. No, I think it's stick and but yeah,
it feels slightly oily, doesn't it? It's got like an oily sort of feel to it.
It does, but
it doesn't leave any residue.
No,
not at all. It's great stuff. So that's what we were sort of talking about. If nobody's used, I mean, most people probably have used silly putty now, but I haven't.
I still use blue tack, so I've just ordered some. So we will see what that's like. I'm looking forward to having mine turn up, actually.
Yeah, I think I'll order some of the green one, because I do need some replacement. I've been looking for some, and I'll see what I can find, because I think it's a very useful thing to have around the workbench. That's for sure. Especially
I grab it. I reach for it all the time these days.
Yeah. I've just ordered a pack of the green. Right, shall we dive on with some news? We've got a couple of news items to mention tonight, but we won't kind of like we've only got like literally about 2 or 3. So. Mini Art, you might have heard. We might have mentioned this company on this show before.
Really?
Absolutely. They are doing a Stug 3 Aus G, and this is the Alket production version, which let me just. They were a major manufacturer of armored vehicles for the Wehrmacht during World War II. So it is a very kind of specific version, and it just looks fabulous. I mean, I know it's Mini Art, but goodness me, I've never built a 35th scale Stug at all. This is going to be high on my radar as and when it actually kind of turns up, because it's a fabulous looking vehicle.
Tiny little thing, isn't it?
But goodness me, look at the options you can do there with the side skirts and everything. I am all over this kit, as the saying goes. And yeah, color me very interested in this, and I like that one on the box art, just the plain yellow one. It just looks like it's got potential for some very good weathering, but
I
I
do
don't know
like
about
that
you, chap.
elephant. I think that elephant's kind of cute, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of cute, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I will be keeping a close eye on that one. So as soon as it's available, I'm going to grab one and do a build online. So fabulous stuff.
It's a tiny little thing as well, isn't it? It's going to be it's sort of like it's smaller than a Sherman, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about the same size. It's a little bit wider, actually, I think,
Is it?
but it's much lower. It's about a similar size to a Sherman, yeah.
But
yeah, it should be good. About 15,000 parts, but apart from that, it'll be.
it's funny you say that. Jim Altegott says mini art rhymes with multi-part.
Yeah.
But Spence, you're really into your putty tonight, aren't you?
Sorry, I should put it down.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
I do this without sort of thinking about it, just rolling around my hands. Yeah, I am.
Well, you are probably
a random ball of blue tack that's just on my desk that I use for tacking bits to stuff to spray and things like that.
The thing is, Spence, you are probably actually using it for its intended purpose, which is therapy putty. And there's probably a little bit of you that just needs to have that kind of tactile experience. So
it's very much like that, actually. Yeah, I do tend to fidget a lot, and I do tend to have things in my hands all the time. So yeah, and also I've slightly damaged my thumb on something and it's kind of hurting, so I'm using it as a bit of just to sort of keep my hands moving. Yeah, playing drums yesterday was a slightly painful experience because my thumb's is hurting slightly, so but but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just sort of keeping everything kind of going
supple.
Limbo.
Yes, indeed.
Supple. Right, the next news item literally sees us going to the dogs. Hella have announced they are going to be producing a 72nd scale Grumman C2 Greyhound. Now, they have mentioned that they were going to do a Hawkeye at some stage, but we're still waiting for that. But a 72nd scale Greyhound. Gentlemen, your thoughts, please.
Well, it's logical because I believe the Hawkeye has actually already been tooled, and it's been tooled by Kinetic,
right?
So it's based on their like 2010 or 2009, 2010 48 scale Hawkeye, which they followed with a Greyhound. So it kind of makes sense that they would follow with this. I know the Hawkeye was due any time now, but it now looks like it's probably going to be sort of the first quarter of 2024. And will be very welcome because the Hasegawa one is just like, virtually impossible to get hold of these days. It's a real shame what's happened to Hasegawa, I think. They're just, you can't get them anymore, really. And they're very expensive when you do. So this will be a nice release to go with the Hawkeye. And hopefully not too far behind. The French don't use them though, which is odd. They use the Hawkeye, but they never bought any Greyhounds. So
I think, as you say, because there is probably a certain level of commonality with the tooling. This is hella, getting more bang for their buck. Quite frankly,
there's not a huge amount of commonality, though, is there? There's wings, tail.
It's the wings, tail, engines, undercarriage.
That's it, though, isn't it?
I mean, the fuselage is all new because obviously it's a transporter. But so I mean, it's got a flat tail, so slightly rejigged in terms of the geometry, but they are the same shape. And obviously the wings are just straight Hawkeye wings with engines with the T56 engines. So
the one thing that sort of gives me I don't know, slight cause for concern with this is that the Greyhound has got some very bright color schemes on it and quite specific color schemes as well. It even now is still, in latter years it's still a very bright aeroplane. And Hella, if I'm being charitable, have not had the best decals in the world. So I wonder how much their decals have improved over the years to be able to create something
Yeah,
that's bright and colourful as this.
Bluntly, I'm not expecting great things from the decals, shall we say?
Nor me.
But I think certainly when the Hawkeye gets released, I'm certainly expecting the likes of Sci-Hart and model art. I'm certainly expecting them to get involved in the at least the French Hawkeye.
Yeah. Interestingly, though, it's not a new thing. I was reading a review in an old Airfix magazine from 1979, mid 79, where they were reviewing the Hella Texan, the T6, when it had just arrived, and the final sentence in the review is, "The less said about the decals, the better." And I just thought, God, that even goes back that the decals were even rubbish in the 70s. I mean, I bought two Hella kits. Do you remember during lockdown? I bought the Alouette and the F84, and I wanted the kits. The kits are still really nice, but I ended up having to buy decals from, I think, Model Art, but also I think I bought some model decals for it as well. If you remember right, we talked about it because the decals in the kit were so terrible. I mean, if they're both relatively new releases, I couldn't quite get my head around how out of register these decals were.
Yeah, what I remember
miles out.
What I always remember was for all their Spitfire 16 was a fabulous little model. I just remember the camouflage options codes being sort of this deep green color rather than sky, and every decal sheet I ever saw, it was like this really deep green color rather than sky. It was just atrocious.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate because their kits were at the time were really nice. I mean, that T6 when it first came out was, had like full cockpit detail. It was really petite. It was, the panel lines on it were really nicely done. The weapons were really nicely done. It built into a lovely little model. But it was quite a specific, I think it was an Algerian one, wasn't it?
They just did so many oddball aircraft. That nobody else had done. The T6, the T28, nobody else had done a 72nd scale T28. Javelin T3, all that kind of stuff.
They decided they weren't going for any of those fighter variants, were they?
No, they're going to do a Javelin T3.
We're not having any of that popular stuff. We're just going to go for a trainer that was flown by about 5 people, but they were great kits, weren't they? It was absolutely, there was some really good stuff in there. At later years, they sort of started to deviate.
Yeah, I think probably 1985, 84, 85, they started to lose their way.
I tell you what, one of the we had this a couple of years ago with it was Dave Fleming. He found at Telford, it was somebody flogging a load of model decal Uragan sheets.
Oh, right,
I grabbed some of them. Then I grabbed the Hella Uragan kit, and I remember thinking to myself, "Oh my goodness me, this is an old Hella kit." No, it wasn't. It was kind of like early 1980s.
81, I think. That was 81.
Yeah, it came out after the Texan, didn't it? That was It came out after the F84, I think, as well.
Yes, the F84 was probably 79, 80.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I think I seem to remember the T28 was 81 or 82. So it was about that time, because it was also the time the Lanson came out, and the Saab Sapphire and the Saab Lanson.
So and the thing was with Hella, they were sort of kind of a schizophrenic company, weren't they? In that they would create these little tiny kits, but then they do like a 1/8 scale, Citroen that had like 1,500 parts or something. I remember when was it the Le Soleil Royale that they produced? And I remember it being advertised. It got like 2,400 parts, and and they could do masterpieces, and they could mold beautifully, and they could detail beautifully, and some of the kits.
First company I remember doing a 35th scale helicopter.
Yeah, exactly. And yet when it came to the final part of the jigsaw, the decals, They never ever got it right, ever. I don't remember ever having a Hella kit where the decals that were in the kit were remotely acceptable.
No. And the tragedy was that when Humbrol owned them, they insisted on doing all the printing for all the for Airfix as well, and so
there were some awful ones, weren't there? Some absolutely.
Oh,
I can remember sort of an RAF tactical Wrangle being out of register. It's 2 colours.
Yes, absolutely. And the weird thing, it just looked their Wrangles were so cross-eyed. It was kind of frightening just how bad they were. And the decals for the 2 that I bought, what I should do is I should scan them really so that you can see how bad they are. They're just really awful, and it almost beggars belief that they can be that badly printed and that out of register in 2023. So who knows? The kits might be really nice.
We shall wait and see. But I mean, I'm very much like you. I'm looking forward to the plastic because I know its provenance, and I know that Kinetic are really pretty, getting really on top of their game these days. So I'm expecting decent things from the plastic. And I'm like you. I'm expecting nothing of the decals.
If only there were companies out there that did specialist decals for these kits.
Yeah, I mean, Jean-Pierre must sort of rub his hands together and go, okay, here we go. We've got another Hella kit coming out with decals that aren't going to be very good. What can I do with it? Because Jean-Pierre's he's essentially made a business out of replacing Hella's decal sheets because pretty much everything that's in his range has has been replicated. Yeah. I mean, I've got some of his decal sheets for like blocks and that kind of thing,
I tend to think of Jean-Pierre as Les Model decal.
It's very much,
yeah. Everything about it is very Les Model decal.
It's very Dick Ward. They have such similar approaches. And Jean-Pierre's a great guy as well. He's absolutely.
He is, yeah. I mean, this is anybody that's not used any of these decals. This is a model art sheet. This one here is for Mirage 3C, B and R, and also seeking HU5 as well. So, but give you an idea of what these are like. This is a sheet that I've got, and you can kind of see just how comprehensive that is. And it's beautiful. And but not only is it beautiful, it's so well designed and everything's kind of spot on. And then inside, you've got the first sheet is sort of general remarks, which I think is a very loose description for something this comprehensive. So general remarks about the subject.
Very model decal, that is.
Yeah. But we're getting to the truly model decal part of this, John, and that's the instructions.
Yeah. It's just fabulous, isn't it?
You can kind of see nothing is left to chance in this. They are absolutely fabulous, and if there's anything specific to the aircraft, anything specific to the to the decals, everything gets called out. Nothing's left to chance. They're really brilliant. If you model in 72nd, actually he does some 48 scale stuff as well, because my Tiger Moth is also decorated in his decals. Give them a go. They
buy with confidence is what we can say there. Buy with confidence. If he has decals for a subject you want to do, just buy with confidence.
And not to mention the fact that Jean-Pierre is genuinely one of the nicest people you will ever speak to in this industry.
It is not a word of an exaggeration to say I have thrown models in the bin on the back of not being prepared to use his decals on that model.
Yes. Yeah, that's entirely that. And also, I mean, Jean-Pierre is, for anybody that doesn't know, Jean-Pierre Le Desprez, which is his full name, he's now a fully paid up member of the Yorkshire Mafia, isn't he? Because he moved over here decades ago. So he's got this. He's never quite lost his French accent, but it's now tinted slightly with his Yorkshire accent, and he lives up there. But he became well known to all of us who sort of came through the hobby in the sort of late 70s, because he was an author and a reviewer for Scale Models magazine back in the day. He did an awful lot of reviews, and he was given a lot of the French subjects to do, and he built and that kind of thing. And then as time went by, he set up Model Art Decals, and which, like John says, is the spiritual successor to Model Decal.
Yep.
And so he's a very, very nice guy and incredibly knowledgeable as well.
Yeah,
you ask him something, he's bang on. Yeah,
the stories I could tell of him and Alan Perry, Tim Perry's dad, hilarious, but unfortunately completely unrepeatable as well. But they were a great double act. But no, you just reminded me actually that I came away from Telford. I didn't buy anything from Jean-Pierre, so that is something I will have to I'll have to amend.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
When I went over to talk to him, he was on the phone, and I never got a chance to go back, which is a shame. Yeah.
Right, let's leap forward with another news item, and this is Copper State Models, and this is 1/35th, and this is a Lancia armored car from the First World War, and this was a vehicle that was used in British and Irish service. Again, you know, I've got stuff that I really should build that I've already got, but this is so tempting, doesn't it? Just look absolutely fabulous.
Well, like I said to you earlier, John, it's like something you'd see in the last 10 minutes of an A-Team episode, isn't it?
Yes.
It is, yeah. It looks fabulous, yeah.
It's just, the thing is I see this, and what do I see? Weathering potential.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential in that. I popped round to Harris Alley's house earlier on this year, and he's got a couple of Copper State models, but he's got some of the aircraft, and the quality of them is just out of this world.
Yeah, didn't they do a Henschel 123?
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the one.
Gas Patch, wasn't it? Sorry, that was Gas Patch.
The one he's got the I think it's a little Caudron, I think is one of the ones he's got. But my brain for World War I aircraft is a bit limited, but they're just beautifully produced. The detail is fantastic. They're very similar. They remind me a lot of Wingnut Wings kits. If you ever have a look at the instruction sheets in them, they've got like books inside them. They're almost like a magazine. They're really fantastic, but I doubt very much that the actual parts and the actual model will deviate from these drawings at all. It'll look like that, you know, and it'd be brilliant. That looks like a lot of fun to put together.
Yep.
Somebody there just asking what the name of Jean-Pierre's company was.
Somebody's put that now. No, they've put a link on there. Jeff Baker's put a link.
Yep. Yeah. There we go. Jeff Baker's done it. Model Art Deck, modelartdeck.com. Yep. Thanks for that, Jeff. But yeah, it's this. Like I say, add this to the great big long list of kits that I've already got that I haven't got around to building at the moment. Oh, it's almost like I'm a modeler. But yeah, this just looks absolutely brilliant. So
yeah, lovely.
Like
that a lot. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Something a bit different. Plenty of detail to bring out on that, which is.
Yep. You're already planning a diorama, aren't you?
Yeah,
I can see it. I can see it. I can see the.
I'm very much in. I'm very much in new direction territory at the moment with dioramas, and it's kind of come out with the V1 that I've just completed, and the style of painting and the style of the groundwork and the way that I've sort of painted it and the accentuation that I've put into it. And now I'm sort of looking at models thinking, oh, okay, how can I sort of bring that detail out? I'm sort of moving away from weathered finishes, if that makes sense, to sort of more stylized and more kind of accentuated, highlighted and kind of finishes. So I'm sort of working around that really, and I'm sort of thinking, yeah, I could do that. That would look kind of cool. So yeah, I was looking at that. You're right. I was looking at that thinking, ooh, that might look kind of, that might look kind of like my brain had sort of moved
with that.
direction.
You're transparent, man. You just
Yeah, I am. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can see on that I've where the groundwork is. Whereas before I'd gone for a bit more realism. I'd gone for a sort of a more realistic approach. These ones are being painted and weathered to be more heightened. I'm heightening color. I'm heightening contrast. Yeah, and bringing out surface textures a lot more than I did before, and that's given me some ideas. And also, I've spoken to Marcus Nichols about this, about the possibility of showing more from 48 scale armor, because I like the idea of building big dioramas. But not big dioramas in terms of footprint. Whereas 48th would allow me to have an idea in my head for something a bit more involved that's tiny. There you go. You can.
I absolutely adore these Tamiya 48 scale kits. They are absolutely brilliant. So yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're superb. And I actually, although the three of us work in 48th a lot, so it's not like unusual. But when I started building that Jeep, I thought, God, it's really tiny. You know, it's going to kind of disappear into the scene. But once it was completed and it got everything on it, it was actually a really nice size, and I could see everything, and I didn't feel like it. You know, that diorama I could have built in 35th, because the kits are out there for me to build in 35th, and actually the same figures are out there as well, thanks to Tamiya's reissues. But how much bigger would it be? You know, it would be quite a dominant piece, whereas in 48th it's only sort of this big, whereas in 35th it would be a much bigger thing. And I feel that with smaller scale dioramas, I'm not sure I would like it anymore if it was in 35th. I like the fact that I'm able to create that in smaller scales. I also thought, I looked at it and thought, that would be cool in 72nd. That would be sort of a nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, it's like in 48 scale, it's easy to forget that, you know, a 48 scale aircraft can be a big old lump.
Yeah.
You know, if we take a random example, if you take a 148 scale flanker, that is a big model.
Yeah.
You know, if you're doing a diorama, you're looking at sort of at least 18 by 12 inches of footprint for that.
Yeah.
If we pick another random Russian subject like a T-72 in 48 scale, it's like that long.
Yeah.
You know, so you are looking at if you do a diorama of a T-72 or an Abrams or something like that in 48 scale, you're looking at like, you know, 6 by 5 inches, something like that, aren't you? It doesn't have to be.
Well, this is to me as 48 scale Abrams.
Yeah.
And this is so it gives you an idea of how, you know, what is it? It's 20 centimeters long barrel, the end of the barrel to the end of the hull. So building a diorama around something like that, the footprint, you're right, Drew, the footprint is only going to be, you know, it may only be 30 centimeters by 15 or 20. Build it in 35th, it's going to be 30.
You've got a massive footprint, haven't you?
30% bigger.
Like I say, if you build a 48 scale flanker or eagle and want to incorporate it into a diorama, you're talking about a serious amount of, you know, a serious acreage.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it is.
So it's easy to forget that you go up next to a tank in real life and think, my word, that's big. But then you go up next to an aeroplane, you know, you got next to a flanker or an F-111.
Yeah,
they are absolutely gigantic.
Well, put a P-47 Thunderbolt next to a Sherman.
Yeah.
You know, that's the sort of the difference. You know, you look at something and you think, yeah, that's quite a big it's King Tiger. I think the King Tiger is quite a big machine in the annals of history. Stick it next to a Strike Eagle.
Yeah.
it could pretty much carry that underneath the wings.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I exaggerate for comedic effect, but it's massive in comparison. It towers over it. But I think, there's been like a predominance, hasn't there, over the last sort of 12, 18 months in 16th scale. It's become a very popular scale, and there's some fantastic models out there, and there are some fantastic builds out there in 16th scale out there, and they look amazing when they're done, and you do see them. But I think as I've got older, I like 16th, and I like looking at them. I think they do look amazing, and the top guys, what they're doing with this stuff is just out of this world. But I found that as I'm getting older, I'm actually going the other way. I'm finding that to me the challenge is bringing the detail out in smaller scales. In 48. I've got kicking around here somewhere is the Tamiya Drewe 48 scale SDKFZ 251 Stuka Zufus. And it's got all the rockets on the side and everything. And I kept on looking at that, thinking, how do I bring all that detail out? Put a load of detail inside. And I like the challenge. And then yesterday I went online and had a look at Mini Art. Have started doing a range of 48 scale accessory sets, haven't they? There's loads of them. One of which is a garage interior, but they also do like a field tool set. And I was looking at that and I was like, God, that just looks amazing, and started to think, well, could I do a 48 scale diorama of like a garage interior, maybe a bunch of Americans servicing a Jeep and a I don't know, a truck or something like that, or maybe even a Sherman, inside, engine bay open and all that. It would only have to be that big.
Yeah.
You could do a diorama. Imagine the amount of detail you could get into a diorama that was only 8 inches by 6 inches or something like that. And I like the challenge of it. I think it's interesting, and I think I've said to you before on here that when you go to the show and I look around the competition, it's always the small scale stuff that catches my eye the most. But it's about size as much as anything else, footprint, and that V1 diorama. I just loved building it. Absolutely loved it from start to finish. It was an idea that I got from basically going into Hobbycraft and seeing the V1s for 10 quid and thought, one day I'll build a couple of those. And then they got a Black Friday sale and I could get like buy two, get one essentially free. And I thought, now's the time. So I bought 3 of them, and I actually built 3 of them. But when I laid the diorama out, I couldn't get the 3 to work together. I think I sent you guys a photograph of it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. Yes.
I couldn't get it to work at all. So I've got another one here, which is the redundant one that I didn't build. And chatting to the Model Geeks guys, they said, well, why don't you turn it into a loon?
Yeah.
And I was like, that would be cool, actually. And I could do a little vignette around it, painted up in bright colours on like a little trolley.
Bright colours on a little trolley on the sand.
One figure. That's it.
Yep.
So I might sort of turn this into a little vignette to go with that one, but do it in American colours. And they had some bright colours, didn't they? They had
red, I mean, just red and white checks and oranges and all sorts of things. Yeah. I always think of them, like I say, on out in the desert and being launched, out in the desert. So little sandy diorama.
Yeah, maybe just to do something along that, it being sort of pulled along on a trailer or something like that, ready to be launched, and it nice and tidy. I think that would look kind of neat. I think I might have
Christopher Joseph Buchholz has come up with a genius idea. I'm stealing this. Thanks, Chris. He says, how about a really dirty armored car halfway through being washed by its crew?
Yeah. Cool.
What a fabulous idea, because you can have one end of it matte and dirty, and you can have another end of it glossy and clean.
Yep.
That's a brilliant suggestion, Chris. That's what I'm going to do, stealing that one. So
well, we're expecting you to do just that then. You need to get hold of the kit and get that sorted out. Drewe and I challenge you to do that next year for the national championship. We challenge you, and
Yeah.
if you don't do it, there will be
Consequences.
tar and feathers.
I'm looking for a gauntlet to throw it down.
Throw down. We'll just do that. We'll go for the.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Fabulous.
Right. Last news item for tonight, and I do believe, Spence, you had a bit of involvement with this, and this is scrolls down. This is Airscale, and they are doing some 3D printed details for the Airfix 24th scale 109E.
Yes.
Discuss.
I have to put my hand up and show some responsibility for this, really. So going back a little bit in time, Airscale is run by Pete Castle. Pete Castle, who many of you may have heard of. He was the guy that won senior national champion at national championships a couple of years ago with was it a 1/18th scale Spitfire that he did? He did the Canadian racing Spitfire.
Oh yeah.
You remember that? And this year he scratch built a P40, which he had in the competition. It was all clad in metal and everything. Anyway, Pete is a professional model maker, but he also produces accessory sets. And about 6 to 8 months ago, we were chatting, and I mentioned to him that I was planning on doing another 24 scale Airfix build, and my kit of choice was going to be the Messerschmitt 109. I really wanted to do a 109E. Anybody that knows me knows that I love the 109, but the 109E is my favorite variant of all of them. The sort of Battle of Britain era 109E, I love it. And he said, "Well, I've got a set for that." And he said, "I've got a set of photo etch parts that provide canopy framing and some cockpit details. I think the instrument panel's on there. I'll send it to you." So he sent it up to me, and so at the National Championships in Telford 4 weeks ago, was it now? Time flies, doesn't it? A month ago, I got chatting to Pete Castle and went over to him and said, "Oh, hi Pete, thanks very much for sending me those parts, much really useful." And he said, "Oh, have you started your model yet?" And I said, "No, I haven't yet." I said, "I'm still stalling on it slightly." I said, the one thing that's giving me cause for concern are the wheel wells." I said, because there's no detail inside the wheel wells on the Airfix kit. And I said, just working out the geometry of the inside of the liners and that kind of thing. He said, it's making me scratch my head. And he said, oh right. He said, "Oh, that's interesting." And I said, "So, I could do with some help." And he said, "Well, I don't have a kit. I don't have the Airfix kit." I said, he said, it's about 60, 70 quid. He said, "I don't really want to sort of get one." I said, "Well, I've got a kit. What if I send you my 24 scale 109 and you can use that to see what you can kind of come up with?" And so I did, posted it off to him. He had it a few weeks ago, and the parts that you see, the seat structure, the wheel well and the spinner, are parts that he patterned off my kit. So I think from the conversation that we'd had, it sort of fired his enthusiasm and sort of got the juices flowing, and he's created the parts. So these are all going to be added into the range so that people will be able to buy them. But it also gives me the opportunity, or it will give me the opportunity going into next year to finally, after, I don't know, easily 40 odd years of wanting to build this kit, to get around to building a 24 scale Airfix Messerschmitt 109. My plan for this kit is to build it the way that I built the two-seat Harrier. So it will be completely from ground up. Everything on it will be sort of reworked. Full engine detailing, full cockpit detailing. I'll look at panel lines on it a little bit and everything. But the idea is for me to build as detailed a model as I can from this kit, and with his with his parts. Hopefully that'll kind of help. So I think it's just thanks to Pete really that he's created these pieces in literally 2 weeks. I mean, it's just astonishing, his ability. I mean, he's so talented. just beggars belief
we can see there's talent. That I'm suddenly going a bit Dylan Thomas here, but there's talent for you, Boyle.
Yeah,
That is absolutely gorgeous, and
it's going to look stunning.
Yeah.
I'll certainly be thinking about color scheme wise. There's no getting away from it being the blue one with the spine. There won't be any mottle on it. I think that it's got to be that. That's the color scheme, really. It's classic kind of color scheme, isn't it? But now as well, because Airfix have obviously reissued it as part of their vintage classics range, people can now go out and buy the kit and go out and buy those parts that address the biggest hurdle in the kit, which I think are those wheel wells, and with those liners in place. It's then you're then able to sort of get on and create something really detailed. It's going to be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to it. So that's the color scheme that I'll definitely go for. I have to say though, I don't like that box art as much as I like the later one.
I prefer that box art.
Do you? I like the later. I like the later, slightly 3/4 one with the mottling. Have you got a picture of the later one? Because that.
I can bring that up. Bear with.
I think that's really nice.
Yep. Hang about. I'm just going to have to go and find it. Talk among yourselves for a while.
I have to say that it's great to see that they've reissued the Stuka as well, because that's.
Yep.
I mean, that's a cast iron classic, isn't it? I'm trying not to get too involved in the idea of building 24 scale Airfix kits, though. I think therein lies a little bit of madness, really.
It's not like you don't have form, is it?
no, and that's entirely why I don't particularly think it would be a good idea for me to to go down that route, because I will become completely obsessed by the idea, and then I'll end up building a 24 scale kit a month for the next 6 months. The one I have to say, and it's the worst of the breed by some margin, but the one I do fancy doing is, you see, I think that's brilliant.
I definitely think that's a better piece of art.
Yeah, me too. I think that's glorious. Yeah, it's okay. But that's not as good as the Mustang one. The Mustang one is arguably the greatest piece of box art in the history of box art, I think. I'm not sure that there's ever been a better piece of box art than that.
Which Mustang one are we talking about? Are we talking about the original, where it's like a 3/4 looking out the side?
That angle, it's at that angle, isn't it? It's the original one of what was it called?
Cripes Almighty?
No, it was called
Fool's Paradise.
Has it got a blue nose? Is that?
It was. I'm sure it's Cripes Almighty, because Fool's Paradise was the 72nd scale kit.
Which one? Yeah, maybe it was. I can't remember. But
that's the original was Cripes Almighty.
I'm just calling up the artwork here. Talk among yourselves.
Because that was that was just.
This is it. There you go.
Is it.
That's it. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the.
So many of those Mustangs, and especially the blue noses, had names that are so you can mix them all up, because there's so many of them, isn't there?
Yeah.
Fool's Paradise, Cripes Almighty, This Is It, PT II, Louis IV, all these. Well, that was a yellow nose, but
I mean, it's just This Is It.
No.
Oh, what is that?
No.
Well, that was the original box art for it, and I think it got out into the Airfix range for a very limited time. Then it was used by MPC in the States.
To say that doesn't look like an Airfix box in any way, shape, or form, does it?
That's horrible.
It was in the catalogue. It was in the catalogue at the time. This was the first people saw. Well, anyway, there we go.
Do we not have the actual box art? Because people are they're now going to go off and feel unhappy with us because of that. That's don't
brace, hang about, hold your horses, and lots of other cliches that I'm going to throw into the mix here. Here we go. Oh, here we go. This is a cast iron classic. This is. I mean, the number of times I used to
just show it.
I'm getting there. The number of times we used to go into the newsagents.
There we go. There we go.
With my mum. Hello, mum. And I'd see that up on the shelves, and I'd just be like, "Oh, I really want that kit," but it was hideously expensive. In my mind, the box to that was enormous. When I actually see it these days, the box is tiny.
Yeah, they are really small.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's the best box art that's ever adorned a kit box. It's just is, and it made me fall in love with the Mustang as well, because it's just, apart from the fact the Mustang is the best looking single engine fighter of the Second World War, bar none, head and shoulders. That's just made. Look at it. Just look at it.
It is a fabulous.
Oh my God.
It's a fabulous piece of artwork.
Knife in my back.
Yeah.
Right?
And Roy Cross. That's Roy Cross at the top of his game, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. I mean, it's sensational.
That is a beautiful piece of box art.
It is just fabulous. Look at it. I mean,
we're all just sat here looking at it, just trying to think of things to say, really, aren't we?
We're all sat here, all kind of like a bit doughy-eyed, aren't we? Anyway, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, Drew's still processing the idea that I've just said out loud, that the Mustang is the best looking single engine fighter of the Second World War, which is a hill I'm prepared to absolutely die on. So
that can be arranged. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually work. I'm trying to work out which Drewe thinks it might be the Tempest or the Typhoon.
There you go. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, I was trying to work. I was seeing where we were going with that.
Yeah, it doesn't take it doesn't take a great deal of working out, does it?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something Centaurus powered. No, not Centaurus.
No. I actually like the Sabre engine. I actually like the because by that time they'd sorted the Sabre out, and it was the Tempest was. You know, they'd worked out all the problems with the Sabre on the Typhoon, and the Tempest Sabre was pretty reliable. It was a pretty decent engine, still massively overcomplicated, but you know, it was a fairly reasonable engine by that point.
Massive as well. We had a look at one.
Gigantic. Yeah,
huge. We were looking at. They've got one at Newark in their engine shed at Newark, and you can stand by. It's enormous. Absolutely. To the thought of that going into a fighter during the Second World War, I mean, it must weigh a huge amount.
Well, that's why when these aircraft, when stuff like the Mustang ended up with they put a turboprop in it. That's why they've got such long noses, because you need to balance the aircraft, because you haven't got all that weight up front anymore of a piston engine, because relatively speaking, gas turbines are lightweight. You know, have you ever seen you think of the Apache or the Black Hawk, you know, they've got, you know, over 2,000 horsepower in each engine. Have you ever seen one of those engines on a stand?
Yeah, they're tiny, aren't they?
It's about that long.
Yeah.
You know, it's literally the core of the engine is about that long. I can remember once sat on a stand in work for years, and I thought it was a Rolls-Royce Gem or something. And I remember just looking over it one day and looking at it and actually finding the tag for the manufacturer, and it was General Electric, and it was a T700, and I went, "That's tiny."
Yeah, minute. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, and it's over 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah. I couldn't believe how when we saw, and I just looked at how complex it was, and you can't help but admire the engineering in one of those big piston engines.
You know that they are, you know, they are magnificent. You know, you get 24, you know, four banks of 6 cylinders in a horizontal H. You know, they certainly, you know, Napier certainly had their work cut out, but eventually the engineers from Bristol were dispatched to Napier, weren't they, to sort the Sabre out, because obviously the Sabre had sleeve valves as well, and Napier never quite managed to sort it out properly. And eventually, obviously, you know, Bristol with the Hercules and the Centaurus, they'd really got to grips with the sleeve valve and had got to grips with making it work properly. So they ended up the War Office or whoever it was then dispatched Bristol engineers to Napier to and that's why it sort of got far more reliable and went on to be a good engine in the Tempest.
Yeah.
Policy decision is that I think perhaps at some time in the new year we all meet up and go to Bristol Aerospace because it's fabulous.
Mm.
Have you been there yet, Spence?
No.
No,
No,
Drew, you've been there yet?
No.
No, absolutely brilliant, gentlemen. Any other business?
No, I don't think so. I just really, I needed tonight. I needed to talk.
Yeah,
rubbish for an hour. After
no,
the-
Rubbish. Rubbish.
quality entertainment. This is.
Listen,
This is a hill I'm prepared to die on.
I've put a lot of effort into trying to be as I don't know what the word is, but
Erudite.
You put a lot of effort into coming here to talk rubbish for an hour.
I did, yeah. Yes, I did. Bearing in mind I've not had anything to eat.
Well,
yeah, I'm about to go and put a pizza on because I've now got nearly a month of doing nothing.
Yeah. Shut up.
I had buttered eggs and muffins for lunch, which was very nice.
Look at you,
Williams, wasn't it?
Mr. Middle Class.
You can tell I'm watching the Box of Delights at the moment, so there we go.
I bet he bought them from Waitrose as well.
No, actually, I got the eggs from Lidl, and I got the muffins from Lidl as well. So,
nice one. Have you got a Lidl Plus card? That's well worth having.
I do. I've got the Lidl Plus card. I've had loads of freebies in the last week or so, so it's been very good. So anyway, just a little bit of admin. You what? Sorry,
Drew's sitting there going, "Did you get that from Pizza Hut?" No, Domino's. Where are you getting your pizza? Have you bought a pizza?
No. Lidl's actually yesterday. I'm fairly convinced these days that nearly all takeaway is absolute garbage, and I don't mean we know takeaway isn't good.
Yeah,
for you. I mean, the quality has just plummeted in recent years.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so I don't tend to anymore. Thank you to everybody this evening for your condolences. It does mean a lot. It's been a tough week. Much appreciated.
No, absolutely, Drew. And you know where to find us. So been there and done it. And I'm just going to do a little bit of admin here tonight. A gratuitous plug for the Airfix jumper, which you might have noticed I'm modelling this evening. Not that kind of modelling. And they're on the website, and they are 28 of your Earth pounds. And you can be the sensation of the Christmas period. That's not me, by the way. If you want one, head over to Airfix and go to the products section and just type in Airfix jumper, Airfix Christmas jumper. There you go. That's the corporate bit out of the way.
I'm just thinking how long I would last in my local wearing one of those.
I
think it would be literally seconds.
I think we should all go in wearing one.
I'm doing my food shopping tomorrow in this one, I can tell you. Also, I am also going to mention that I am off to the cinema on Friday this week, and
Godzilla?
It's cool. Godzilla -1, which is the new film out of Japan by Toho Studios, the originators of this magnificent.
So that's your proper Godzilla, isn't it? That's your proper Zilla.
And this film has been getting absolute rave reviews. It's actually set immediately in post-war Japan, so it's kind of like it's a reboot of a reboot of a reboot. But if you've not seen the trailer for it, it looks utterly spectacular. So I'm really looking forward to that.
John, before you go and do what you need to do, Andy King's book, when are we kicking off the M41 Walker Bulldog Challenge? We need to think about that, don't we?
Well, funny you say that, because here is the poster, and I was thinking perhaps we should be doing this. What do you reckon, Spence, over the Christmas holiday period?
Yeah, I finish work on the 22nd, and
Right.
I go back on the 8th. So I think that block of time is the only time really that I'm going to be able to sort of create something.
That's fine. That's fine. We will announce a date. Absolutely. And for those of you who want to take part, if you head over to Jadlam, they're currently doing an offer. So if you use the coupon code IMCIQSM41 in the checkout, you can get the kit for £15, including postage. I am really looking forward to this
Bargain,
challenge. You what? Sorry,
that's a bargain.
It is a bargain.
Absolutely.
It really is a bargain. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to popping down to Jadlam, hopefully in the new year, once I'm back driving again. So anyway, on that note, I would just
we could squeeze that in the next couple of weeks, but maybe not.
No, we can if you want. Be lovely to see you, Drew.
In Glasgow.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you very
All
much.
right. You two.
We live here, mate.
When we finish.
You and John sitting in the tree. KISSING.
Are you done,
do
Pollard?
that. Don't invite me.
Are you done, Pollard? No, I said I put the invite out generally.
I'd love to do that. That would be great, but it ain't gonna happen.
Well, there you go. You see, so you actually kicked off.
Hey, listen,
over
there's
something
nothing
you
wrong,
couldn't
there's nothing
do
wrong with a bit of self-pity once in a while. I'm entitled to have this. It's a self-pity party, and you two not invited, actually. So there. So just
anyway, like I was about to say before we were so rudely interrupted ourselves. Spence, hang around for a minute when this is over. I just need to have a quick
okay.
A quick chat.
Yep. That's fine. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will leave you to your Sunday evening. Fingers crossed, we will be back. Some of us will be back next Sunday. It'd be nice if all three of us were back next Sunday, because I've got an idea for a quiz. But anyway, we'll wait and see.
I have to say, John, I would like to say I'll be back next Sunday, but it's the United-Liverpool game, and chances are I'm going to be out.
Yeah. So, you're going to be out of it completely. So
chances are I'm going to be out of it.
Yes. However, I might be able to do not this week coming is football, I think. Following week, I'll definitely be able to do the Wednesday, though, I would think. If you want to do a Wednesday night pre-Christmas.
That's because Christmas is different, isn't it? So if we slip in a...
Yeah,
we can slip in a Wednesday. I've got no work for the next month, so I'm available.
Yeah, so. That's fine. Yeah.
Jeez. Is this going to be a daily thing now? Do we just have to prepare for this?
Good Lord, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've worked it like a champ this year.
You have indeed. Yes. Very good.
On that note, just remains for me to say thank you, everybody who watched tonight. I'm sorry we didn't get around to reading out your comments and everything, but we do appreciate you giving up your Sunday evening to watch three middle-aged men kind of witter on about their favourite hobby. Like I say, hopefully we'll be back. We'll be back in some stage, and I'll probably do a pop-up live and something. So on that note, from myself, we'll see you very, very soon. And everybody, take care and enjoy the season. So see you later. Bye.
See you later.